Okay, this question asks us to find a hyperbola with a center at 2, -5, a vertex at 8, -5, and a focus at 12, -5. I'd like to graph these to see how they're behaving. So I will do that. Go to Desmos. And I have a center at 2, -5, which is good. Now, what do I know about the center and the hyperbola? Well, I need to determine what the transverse axis is. It could be horizontal, it could be vertical. But if I put my vertex, that will tell me which way the transverse axis is, and that will tell me which variable has to begin this. So the vertex is 8, -5. That is our vertex. So you'll notice it's on the same horizontal line with the center. So that tells me the transverse axis is horizontal. So we know that. Now, if the transverse axis is horizontal, that means the x comes first. So in general, our equation will be x minus something squared over something minus y minus something squared over something equals 1. So that helps us out to know that x comes first because the transverse axis is horizontal. Now I'd like to see what is my span in x. Remember, the span in x is the distance from the center to the vertex. So let's look. Here's the center, here's the vertex. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the span in x is 6. So downstairs here, I'm going to have 6 squared. From the center to the vertex will be 6 squared. Now, it also enables me to find another vertex. So from the center to the vertex this way is 6. From the center to the vertex that way also would have to be 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So -4, -5 would be another vertex. Six this direction, 6 this direction. So we've identified both vertices. What we don't know is we don't know what the equation is. We don't know what b squared is. So here we are currently, we have, we're going to look for b squared. Our center here is 2, -5, so x minus h squared, x minus 2 squared over 6 squared minus y minus k, y minus -5 will be y plus 5 squared over b squared is going to equal 1, and I want to figure out what b is. I want to figure out what b is. Of course, a squared is 6 squared in my usual notation. So I'm looking for the distance from the center to the focus. Now our focus here is 12, -5, so let's look at that on the graph. 12, -5 is the focus. So what is the distance from the center to the focus? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's C. C equals 10. C is the distance from the center to the focus. But notice I also have a second focus going the other direction. If I go back 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, that would give me -8, -5 would be another focus. So I was able to find the second vertex. I was able to find the second focus. But I need to still figure out what b squared is. So we need to remember our equation for parabolas. C squared is a squared plus b squared. C is the distance from the center to the focus. We said that was 10. A squared, span in x squared, 6 squared, plus b squared, 100, is 36 plus b squared. Subtracting 36, 64 is b squared. So the span in y would be 8. So what I get is, fine, I get x minus 2 squared over 36 minus y plus 5 squared over 64 equals 1. Let's see if we can do some analysis with that. So I have my equation, x minus 2 squared over 36 minus y plus 5 squared over 64 equals 1. And you'll notice it goes through the two vertices, and that makes me feel pretty good about things. Can I draw that box so I can determine the asymptote, so I can kind of check my work here? Well, you'll remember the span in x was 6, and the span in y was 8. So if I go up 8 from -5, that gets me to y equals 3. If I go down 8 from -5, that takes me down to, let's see, -5 minus 8 is -13. And then how far does that range? It can be kind of difficult for us to see this. Let's shrink it a little bit if we can. I don't want to shrink it too much. We want to go with our span in x. Our span in x was 6. So again, from -4 to 8. So we will say -4 is less than x is less than 8 for both of these. So I've got that part of the box in, and then I have x equals -4, and I have x equals 8 for the other part of the box. X equals -4 and x equals 8. Let's make those both green. And dotted. Green and dotted, but I don't. X equals -4. There we go, that's better. And then I want that to go from -13 to 3. So we were able to create the box that we need. And now how about our slope for each of those? Change in y is 8 up 8 over 6. So 8/6 x. So I want to find the equation of my asymptotes. The center is 2, -5. The slope goes up 8 because 8 squared is 64. It goes over 6 because 6 squared is 36. 8/6, the slope is 8/6, or if you like, 4/3. So looking at this, center is 2, -5. We said slope could be 8/6 or 4/3 using our point slope form. Y minus y1 is m times x minus x1. Y minus -5, y plus 5 is 4/3 times x minus 2. Similarly, taking a look at our graph, right? So this piece was up 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 over 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The other one would be down 8 over 6, or -4/3. So same point, 2, -5. Slope is -4/3 again, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, y minus y1, y minus -5, y plus 5 is -4/3 x minus 2. So those should be the equations of the asymptotes. So let's find out if they are. We will put those in. So y plus 5 equals 4/3 x minus 2 And we'll change that color. Maybe to red this time. Haven't used red yet. And then similarly, except of course that is parentheses, x minus 2. And then the next one is y plus 5 is negative 4/3 x minus 2. And we want to convince ourselves of this. So we see the box, we see the asymptotes, we want to zoom it out, and we want to convince ourselves that indeed, as the graph gets farther and farther away from the center, that the graph becomes closer and closer to the asymptotes. And it sure looks like that's the case. So we have our equation of our ellipse, which is here, and we have the equation of our asymptotes, which is here.